Hello, welcome to Just Bird. Tonight I am going to do the end of the year tarot tag by Chanel Days, aka Spirited Stardust. Okay, so first question is, what deck did you use the most? So the deck that I use the most is the Wild Muse Oracle. I pulled for myself with this deck every day since June and still going strong. So I will pull from this deck every day until I no longer feel the need or the urge. It's incredibly beautiful. I love the messages. I like the book. I just love everything about this deck. And it's all just very powerful women. And it's exactly what I needed the last half of 2023. So that is the Wild Muse Oracle. As far as tarot, it would have been, I think it's called the Vision Quest by Taroko Studios. This is just a favorite of mine. So for myself, and I read for others with this deck as well. So this is just a favorite that I used the most. So on to the next question. So I'm not here all night. Let me see. Deck I didn't use at all. Well, there are many, and there's a list. I actually did a video. I have a video coming out, and it's like 9 decks that I didn't use in 9 decks that I didn't use in 2023, and 8 that I've acquired in the past 2 weeks of 2024. So the Transient Light, this one I didn't have on the list, but so I'll show it here. This was a Hay House purchase back in, I think it was like the end of September or something. They were having a sale, and I purchased this deck. There isn't anything wrong with this deck. I have a list. I over purchased and consumed too many decks last year to use, and this one it just never got used. Now that I have it in my hands, this would probably fare well with a few oracles I have, as well as maybe in the fall time. But that is the Transient Light. I picked it up because it was like so cheap. But I also picked up the Fifth Spirit at the same time, and that was the one that I gravitated toward, and I really enjoy that deck actually a lot. I was surprised. That was a deck that totally surprised me this year. But the deck that didn't get touched upon, along with many others, was the Transient Light Tarot by Ari Weisner, published by Hay House. All right, next question. Moving right along. Most recent addition to my collection is the Radiant Wise, along with the Sacred She. So I'll show you the Radiant Wise. This is just beautiful. I really like this deck. It hasn't left my hands. Now, I really like the Sacred She as well. It just reads differently, but this one I've read multiple times a day for multiple people with this particular deck since I received it. Over the past couple of weeks, it has quickly become a favorite, but the Sacred She is right up there with it. It's just a different style of reading. The Sacred She is it's a little bit how can yum 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 and my tum tum tum. It is just a deck that slows me down. Whereas this deck, it's straight to the point. You get your answer really quickly and you move along. So, and this, I love the color palette. If you can tell, I'm ready. I'm ready for Valentine's Day. I'm ready for spring. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time because my furnace is about to go off. But it's 19 degrees outside right now and windy. So I do apologize for the background noise. Next question. Deck you let go of. I let go of the Herb Crafters Tarot, which would be a deck that I gifted to somebody else. However, I had a huge purge in the beginning of 2023 that where I let go of a big slew of decks. At least like 100 decks went out, and they were old oracles and a few tarot. I tend not to let go of too many tarot, but a lot of Hay House decks went out, like Doreen Virtue, what's his name, Raleigh, Randolph, is it whatever his name is, her little cohort there, and Kyle Gray decks, just a lot left. Let's see. My favorite pairing? Well, I have a few, but I don't normally do the pairing thing when I read. However, the Wild Muse with... Maybe I should do like something like this. The Elemental... What is this? The Elemental Wisdom Tarot by Taroteca Studios. They aesthetically, they go really well together. Just, they're both, and the cardstock is like the same. That, velvety, really durable. They just feel so, it's a tactile experience, it's an aesthetic experience, and they read well together, and they just look beautiful side by side. So that would be my favorite. I'm trying to show you here like a better that they actually do go well together. Favorite mod bag? Well, I'm not crafty like that, so I didn't mod any bags. What I do for bags, I don't use a lot of bags, but when I do need a bag, or I like a bag, I purchased these from the Dollar Tree for $1.25. This one is my favorite. It's very soft, and for $1.25, you can't go wrong. And this houses Penelope's Tarot by Sam West. All right. My other favorite bag, though, was a gift, and it was handmade and by someone. It just wasn't handmade by me. This is a felt kitty bag that was a gift from my mom, and this houses charms. All right. Let's see. Gift deck. A deck that I gifted someone else was the Herb Crafters. And I gave away a couple of other decks as well, but that one with like just the other decks were like for learning purposes, and this deck was for, it's just an incredibly beautiful deck that someone else would appreciate much more than myself, because I never used it, and I didn't want to let go of it because of its beauty. However, I would rather somebody actually be able to appreciate it. A deck that I fell in love with besides the Wild Muse is not a tarot or an oracle, but it's like cartomancy. So this is just, it's dreamy, it's romantical, it's sweet, and it tells a good story. And I love the size of it. It's kind of petite. It's long, but it's thin, and it's lightweight, and it's, like playing cardstock. so it's very easy to manipulate. So this one I really fell in love with. It's just the stories that the imagery can tell you, but cartomancy being read a little bit differently. Like we have the kings and the queens are the aces. See? So it is a little bit different, read differently. However, I fell in love with it, and I love to read with this. All right. Next question. Okay, card that sums up your year. Well, that would be Murky Waters from the Wild Muse and the Ten of Swords. This just summed up 2023 since, well, I guess in the beginning of the year was just surrendering to I don't need all these decks and I need to accept that it's time to have a huge purge. Then in June, my mother became ill. In July, she passed away. During that time, my sister-in-law was diagnosed. She was going through the diagnosing process, and about a month after my mother passed away, the diagnosis came in that my sister-in-law had breast cancer. So then she started going through chemo, and as of January 11th was her last appointment. Well, not her last, but she had her lumpectomy. So wishful thinking, everything is so far going well, but it was not easy getting there. My son was in the hospital during the end of the year to have his gallbladder removed. And then I had a flare up. So my joints have been just kind of raging since Thanksgiving. So it's just been a real difficult last 6 months. So I'm hoping to be able to grieve and breathe in 2024. So next question. Okay, pull a card for 2024. All right, let's see. Ace of Cups. Okay, so it's time for healing. This makes a lot of sense. And let Spirit be with me and help me to heal and really just start pouring into myself. That makes sense. Cheers.